Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the F1 Evolution channel. The Dutch GP ignited some spicy drama about Red Bull's pit stop strategy and whether they're playing favourites with Wonder Boy Max Verstappen. In case you missed it, Checo Perez made a baller move at the start by switching to inters when the rain hit. This briefly catapulted him into the lead ahead of Verstappen. But when it came time to swap back to slicks, Red Bull pitted Max first, allowing him to undercut Checo and regain the lead. After the race, Checo was clearly still scratching his head over the team's logic. In his own words, "Well, I think in those scenarios the team just have more information than we do at the time. It's something we obviously will review during the meeting. I'm sure there's a reason behind it." He also hinted that he was told more rain was coming during the first stint on inters. Checo said he probably could have kept the lead for longer if he had pushed more then. Peculiar. Now, at first glance, it did seem a bit suspicious how quickly Max closed the gap to Checo on those intermediate tyres. At one point, he took a whopping 7 seconds out of him in just 3 laps. Crazy, right? In tricky wet conditions, you really see the difference in driver abilities. It's not just about speed. You've got to have that symbiotic bond with a car to avoid even the slightest mistake shooting you off track. So naturally, gaps between drivers get magnified. And let's be real, Verstappen is in a league of his own in the wet. The dude's laser-focused, executing the perfect plan while others struggle. I'm convinced even if you swapped their cars, Max would still flex on Checo in wet conditions. The root issue is Checo just doesn't fully match up to Max's raw talent. Losing 4 seconds in the mighty RB19 and making blunders like the Monaco crash are just not acceptable. At first, you write it off as a few mistakes, but there's a point we gotta acknowledge Checo's skill just isn't on par with the Dutch prodigy. Max can consistently smoke him on any circuit. Plus, Checo's track record in wet races is just average for F1. He's solid, but not stellar. Betting on him to excel in rain is a gamble since some drivers just struggle more in wet conditions. But what really made me scratch my head was Horner's claim they pitted Max first to defend against Alonso and Albon potentially undercutting him. Come on mate, even casual fans know that reasoning seems mad suspicious. Can you honestly imagine if rules were reversed, they'd justify it the same way? As if Prime Max with a 7-second lead would ever lose out to the likes of Williams or Aston Martin. Even if they undercut, Max would just eat them up with that Red Bull rocket ship. The notion they'd fear a Williams threat to Max is just comedy at this point. If Checo's strategy luck put him in the lead, RB likely still pits Max first. With Alonso hunting him down, the risk of losing P1 was clear. But Max's insane speed means he'd have a million chances to regain position. Pitting Checo first to defend against backmarkers would be absolutely bonkers. Now, don't get me wrong, Checo's early pit call initially gave him an advantage and you could argue he deserved main driver status for that race. However, as Horner emphasized, Max took 7 whole seconds out of him in just 3 laps once they were both on inters. Despite starting with a 13-second lead over Max, by lap 11 it was down to just 4 seconds. Madness! Even if Checo held the lead a bit longer, Max was always destined to take that win with the earlier slick tyre call. The inconvenient truth is in the big picture. This notion of who deserves it gets blurred. Red Bull's goal is simple: secure every win, every title possible with Max as their wonder weapon. Their strategy choices are another testament to this ruthlessness. Can you blame them when one driver consistently obliterates his teammate? It was telling that Horner highlighted just how much faster Max was on inters, cutting the gap sooner than expected. Despite starting way behind, he was already poised to retake the lead within laps, even if they had pit Checo first. When questioned about running slower, Checo suggested his team warned him of heavier rain coming, so he conserved tyres. But with how quickly Max carved through the field, that rationale seems highly suspicious. Gotta wonder if Checo could have pushed more, especially as other teams didn't predict a major downpour. No matter which way you slice it, between laps 5 to 10 on inters, Max's slowest lap was still faster than Checo's fastest. That says a lot about the team's faith in Checo securing a win if Max got stuck behind him. And this isn't just about Zandvoort either. All season long, hell, the last 2 seasons, Checo has been handily outdone by Max more often than not. Apart from the odd win in Monaco or Baku, Checo's performance has been patchy, even drawing criticism from rivals like Mercedes' Toto Wolff. So Red Bull's priority to protect Max isn't favoritism per se, it's strategy to maximize their chances of winning the championship. And Checo's later blunders in Zandvoort, like the pit entry crash and penalty, only further justify their call. Had they left it to Checo, P1 likely goes to Alonso and Aston Martin. Now, don't get me wrong, questions do arise when Red Bull's calls seem to sabotage Checo. We've seen tensions boil between the team, especially when Checo gets remotely close to Max, like last year's Monaco and Brazil Grand Prix. The Max squad is vocal about ensuring their Wonder Boy gets the support. But right now, Checo simply lacks the consistency and intensity to warrant a change in strategy. The legendary Schumacher himself said that if you want the Ferrari #1 status, simply outpace him. For Checo, the challenge isn't even that massive. He just needs to actually match Max's level consistently to prove he's the reliable points machine deserving of RB's utmost confidence. Obviously, that's way easier said than done though. We can hope that Checo narrows the gap to Max, but actually matching him seems nigh impossible. Now, Max poses a formidable challenge to any driver, even earning high praise from veterans like Alonso. And if racing giants like Alonso and Hamilton struggle to match Max, Checo's prospects aren't too bright. As for Checo's future with Red Bull, it's hard to say. While Marco's doubts grow louder, Horner keeps insisting that they want to retain Checo for 2024. If Checo's current form continues, you can bet those Marco conversations are coming. This saga is far from over, so stay tuned. The main point is that Red Bull's strategy isn't blind favoritism towards Max, it's calculated ruthlessness to maximize their chances of winning. At the moment, Verstappen is their best shot at sealing both championships. His raw pace and consistency is just on another level compared to any other driver on the grid right now. For Checo to change the status quo, he has to seriously up his game. No more excuses, no more mistakes. He must match Max's intensity every single race weekend, in both qualifying and on race day. Easier said than done, of course, but if Checo can tap into that next level he's shown glimpses of, like in Baku and Monaco last year, then he can prove to Red Bull that he deserves equal treatment and status. It's really in Checo's hands to change the team's strategy. He needs to consistently be that reliable second driver that they can count on to maximize points. Until then, Red Bull's unapologetic prioritization of Verstappen makes complete sense. They have a generational talent to support in his prime years. The goal is clear: do everything to help Max beat records and make history. Alright friends, now that's my take on the latest Red Bull drama. Let me know what you're thinking. Are they really playing favorites or just ruthlessly chasing wins? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe for more F1 content. See you next race!